The first time I ever witnessed xenophobic violence, it felt like a foreign force.
We often hear of racism abroad, but one do not expect to live that in South Africa.
As xenophobia became more prevalent in my country, I wanted to look away.
This is vigilantism.
Anti-migrant groups are whipping up anger and hatred.
I hate foreigners, and the government is doing nothing.
And the scapegoating of migrants is threatening the fabric of our country.
We are coming for you.
As the economy breaks down, South Africa's migrant community is in the firing line.
Marking a decade, the Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie not mincing his words.
Apartheid, Satani, Kai Ruma di Satani Teddy. The devil sent other devils here to this country to come and sell drugs to our children, to come and sell body parts of our people, to come and take the jobs of South Africans.
McKenzie says nothing will convince him otherwise when it comes to undocumented foreign nationals.
They are gonna go home. Halagan, Haistugan, Abahambe, Abahambe. We don't want illegal foreigners here. Where the PA, after we've been sworn in, I'm going straight to Rahima Musa Hospital, where we're going to switch off the oxygen of illegal foreigners.
In that context, the matter that again raised, I hope that the national dialogue I'm talking about will address this issue, which is a matter of great debate in this country about the so-called undocumented people. Colleagues, the people to, let me say, since the beginning of diamond mining in the 19th century, later gold mining and all of that, this country has seen lots of Africans from the rest of the continent moving to this country. The issue of many other Africans being present with us is not new. And historically, the indigenous African community has never ever been hostile to other Africans coming from other African countries. Take the old township, Alexander Township in Johannesburg. That township has always had people from all over the continent. With no friction, with no nothing. Historically, the African community here has never been xenophobic about other Africans. So, 2008, we're way past 6 o'clock now. 2008, all manner of trouble breaks out in Alexander Township in Johannesburg. Attack on these foreigners, particularly Zimbabweans. Then it spread elsewhere. Xenophobia, Afrophobia. So I say, when I saw that thing, I was in government, I was president. I say, but it's not Alexander Township. Alex for decades has had Zimbabweans and Mozambicans and this and that, and never ever this conflict. Why? There's a mistake we made as government, and not to disclassify an intelligence document about what happened in Alexander 2008. That thing was organized to drive the Zimbabweans out of the country back to Zimbabwe because there were elections in Zimbabwe. It was people who were being driven out, they were going to vote against Bob Mugabe then. An intelligence report which has got the names and the dates and venues where people was met and planned this and so on. It's presented as a xenophobic attack by the people of Alex against it. It was wrong. It was organized, systematic for a political purpose. I'm saying the mistake we made, we should have declassified that intelligence report. It's got the names and the dates and the venues of the meetings which are organized in order to produce this outcome. We've got many, many challenges of the economy here. Unemployment, very serious problem. Economy is in crisis. I'm a former president of this country, and you'll never ever convince me that this economy is in crisis because of foreigners. It's not true. It's not true. It's because there's certain things that have happened with regard to the economy which have produced economic crisis, resulting, among other things, in unemployment. So we've got to solve this problem. We've got to deal with this economy and deal with these problems of unemployment. At the same time, the country has got laws about migration of people. Let's enforce the laws. You can't just come in illegally. Yeah. So the thing about the registration of people undocumented is correct. But I'm saying, like we have an economic crisis, it's incorrect to think that that economic crisis is caused by people who have come from the rest of the world. I'm hoping that, I'm coming back to the matter of the national dialogue, that this matter also becomes a matter of discussion. One of the things that happened, colleagues, very important in my view, is that the continent genuinely took it as one of its responsibility to help us to fight and defeat apartheid. Ordinary citizens would contribute monies to go into a common fund in order to support the struggle here in Namibia and Zimbabwe. That became a people's issue. Wherever you went around the continent, I've got Weliland Lapo here, former ambassador. Wherever you went on the continent, 1980, 1985, the focus on South Africa among the ordinary people was very high. The consequence of it is that when South Africa becomes liberated, the same masses, they say, I'm going to South Africa. It's natural. They develop that kind of very fondness and closeness to this country. So we must go to this country. That's the challenge, the real challenge we face. It doesn't matter, I'm saying. It doesn't matter how many electrical fences you build. You are not going to stop these Africans coming here. So our challenge is to say, how do we deal with that reality? And then, my colleagues, you might also remember that a few years back, there were similar so-called xenophobic attacks in Durban. What the provincial government did there was to appoint a commission to go into that, which was chaired by Judge Navi Pillay. You'll find that report on the internet. And they deal with this question. They say the reality of the matter is, you've got many migrants coming from the continent and elsewhere who come here, and there's no way I'm going to stop it. The issue is, how do we deal with these things who become new citizens of South Africa, new residents? We've got to find a way of dealing with it. And practical steps, I'm saying that Navi Pillay report is very important. It addresses this question. When we're new in government here, issue was raised about, there are many Mozambicans who come across the border and get employed by the farmers in the then Eastern Transvaal, paid low wages, outcompete the South African farm workers and all that. Must deal with this matter. So we agreed, and then a big movement took place to deport these Mozambicans back to Mozambique. I think we continued that program for 2 months at best and stopped it. The reason we stopped it is because the following week after they've been deported, they are back in the country. Or you had Lindela, this place they call Lindela for people who are being deported. Come Christmas time, the Zimbabweans would go to Lindela to say, I'm illegal. So that the government must convey them at its cost, transform them back to Zimbabwe. 2 days after New Year, they are back. How do you deal with this situation? I'm saying that I'm hoping that in the national dialogue there will be a discussion of this. Because certainly, I mean, as an African, I belong to this old tradition. As in our culture, you are never ever hostile to a stranger. A visitor, a visitor who comes and get the best food in the house. It's a frame of mind. Lento kuthiwa ubuntu. I hope that the matter will get discussed and then resolved in that context.